Peter Mandelson is a man of considerable expertise. He's the right man for this moment to be our ambassador. He's been a business secretary, a Northern Ireland secretary. Of course, he's worked in the European Commission, and he brings all of that to bear working as our ambassador in the United States. And of course, he's looking forward to presenting his credentials to Donald Trump.
Confident that the Trump administration will accept Keir Starmer's pick of ambassador, Peter Mandelson, to work with him?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the first time...
Just to get that on the record, you're confident that Peter Mandelson is going to be accepted as ambassador?
Yeah, because look, for the first time in, I think, maybe 50 years, this is the first time that a British Prime Minister has picked a politician to be the ambassador in DC. We have brilliant diplomats, and Karen Pierce has done a brilliant job. But the reason the Prime Minister picked Peter Mandelson was because we want to do things differently. We recognise the important relationship between our two countries. There are lots of opportunities there on trade and the way in which our countries collaborate, whether it's on technology or on finance or on defence and security issues. And I think Peter Mandelson will be a brilliant ambassador for us and will form a very strong partnership with the new administration.
But what do you mean?
Why you appointed Peter Mandelson in the first place to this job, when, in essence, all the facts that we now know, we knew when you did the appointment. It's just that there's been some sort of lurid headline-grabbing language that we've seen since.
Peter Mandelson, before he was appointed, went through a due diligence process. That's the propriety and ethics team went through a process, and therefore I knew of his association with Epstein. But had I known then what I know now, I'd have never appointed him. Because what emerged last week were emails, Bloomberg emails, which showed that the nature and extent of the relationship that Peter Mandelson had with Epstein was far different to what I had understood to be the position when I appointed him. On top of that, what the email showed was he was not only questioning, but wanting to challenge the conviction of Epstein at the time. That, for me, went and cut across the whole approach that I've taken on violence against women and girls for many years, and this government's approach. On top of that, what emerged last week, on Wednesday evening late, were Peter Mandelson's responses to questions that have been put to him by government officials. I looked at those responses and I did not find them at all satisfying.
You said that details emerged Wednesday afternoon, but from what we can work out, details were furnished to bits of the Whitehall machinery, the Foreign Office and Downing Street, quite a bit ahead of you defending Peter Mandelson on Wednesday at Prime Minister's questions. And people are scratching their heads saying, why didn't you, the Prime Minister, make more effort to make sure you were briefed on this?
But so much was already known about Mr. Mandelson's relationship with Epstein. Huge amounts of detail had already been published. The fact that he'd been staying at Epstein's house in America while Epstein was serving his sentence for paedophile crimes. Surely that information on its own should have been enough to stop him being appointed as our ambassador.
The extent to the relationship was not known.
To explain, so your responsibilities include issues such as violence against women and girls, criminal law covering child sex abuse. You're the Minister of Justice, of course, so, you know, your work includes, you know, rape victims, victims and witnesses and other serious sexual offences. Can you just explain to our viewers why someone staying at a convicted sex offender's house while they were serving a sentence for soliciting a minor, a child, for prostitution, why that was not sufficient justification for the Prime Minister not to appoint Peter Mandelson as ambassador?
The Prime Minister has been very honest that if he had known the extent to the relationship and what was in those emails, then he would have taken action sooner.
But that was known. That was known. That's the point.
So why was that not enough to rule him out?
That decision was taken, the independent vetting was carried out, and the Prime Minister was not aware of the extent to that relationship.
Sorry, I'm asking you as the Justice Minister with responsibilities, including issues such as violence against women and girls and child abuse. Why was it not enough to rule him out as US ambassador, that he stayed at the house of an individual serving a sentence for soliciting a child for prostitution? Why was that not enough to rule him out? I'm not asking about what was in the emails that everyone suddenly saw on Tuesday night. I'm asking about a fact that was known at the time that Keir Starmer appointed Lord Mandelson.
Well, as the victims minister, my thoughts are always with the victims, and their voices have been silenced throughout this.